A lot of people are asking how to play Fusion Mage, so I'm gonna make a video on it, try to explain it. So it's not much different than regular rotation, and like what is it? It's pretty much just a hybrid set of playing Fireball to rotation. Okay, just as a forewarning, I'm not warmed up right now, so my casting is going to be a little bad, and it's going to be hard to explain what I'm trying to talk about. So you can play your normal Fireball Mage on it. If I can cast. And you get your tiles. And you keep up your uptime on tiles, like that. And while you're doing that, you can switch over to rotation mid-fight, and you will proc your rotation tiles. And you can switch off a rotation mid-fight if you wanted to. I don't see a reason why you would, but you can do that. So the rotation is very similar to a regular rotation. It's literally just an extended rotation. It's already like known in the game, it exists, but instead of doing like 7 to 8 fireballs, you're going to be doing 9 to 10 depending on your speed. If you're hitting the 2.4 to 2.5 range, you want to, like, just under the 2.5 range, you're going to do 9 fireballs. It's going to get you more, trust me on that. I fact-checked that. If you're doing 2.5 or to 2.6, then you're going to do 10, because 10 is going to get you more, because you can squeeze in that extra fireball, because you're just fast enough to get it. And the rotation is pretty simple. I can do it real quick. And then you go again. I might have miscounted there, but you can see you're going to lose out on a weakness stack, but you're going to get more damage. And you'll have 2 weakness stacks up for a decent amount. And I'm not really casting fast enough for the set to work properly. I can try to real quick. And I popped my affliction, but that would have been fine. But that's pretty much what it's gonna look like. I was doing it really slow, so it didn't keep too well uptime. So the point is, it's a really good set. It's not as good if you're a slower caster, so it's actually really hard to use. But like, once you start hitting the 2.4 range to 2.6 range, which is what a lot of people are at, then you're gonna be able to utilize this set really good. And that's like, it's a min-max set for hits per second wise, so it's kind of a specific set, but when you get to it, it's a really high self-procking set. So like, once you hit into the 2.4 range, it's gonna be like a 23.3% buff or whatever, I think, around that, which isn't bad. That's pretty good for a rotation set, to be honest. That's actually really good for a rotation set, because it can come close to fireball percentage, and it's a rotation set, which is good. I mean, it is half Fireball Mage set, but yeah. Once you get into that golden 2.5 range, which is like beautiful for all self-proc sets, you're gonna finally hit that 24% buff, which is absurd. It's insane, because 24% without heal tiles on self-proc rotation is great. That's why the top 3 leaderboards are using it for their rotation set for Mage, because high damage, high buff percent, for rotation, self-proc, because you're not going to drink heal pots while casting at the dummy to get high Cindy parses. So yeah, it can still be used at 2.6, and it's still better at 2.6. It's only going to be like a 20.7% buff, which like is not as much as the 24% buff. However, you still will hit more damage. So like with Greg's calculations, with damage, if you're casting 2.5, you're going to be doing like, the min-max is like 138k.5. If you're doing the 2.6, you'll hit the 140k range. That's like in min-max, though. That's like perfect casting and all that, which no one can do in this game, especially for 2.5 minutes, especially when you're casting at that fast of a speed. But you still will hit more damage. Now, the Fire Maid portion, some people like complain about that, how it's not that good. It's still really good, especially for the lower speeds of casting. Like, if you're in the 2.4 range, you're going to be hitting, like, it's like 22% buff, which isn't god tier buffing percent, but it's still really good, and you can still keep uptime on your tiles, which is what you need to do. That's about probably what 2.4 looks like. I'm not doing a really good job. I'm not warmed up at all. 2.5 is actually going to be really good still, too. It's going to be like in the 24.8% range, which is really, really good. And here's where it gets a little like janky, because 2.6, the buff percent goes way, way down. It's gonna go down to like 16.6%, which is not that good. It's also gonna like be 4k less DPS. So if you're ever hitting the 2.6 range and you are gonna run this as a fireball set, I would recommend just slowing down, keeping it as consistent as possible, or just run a different fireball set, because there are plenty of different fireball sets that will work better. That's part of the reason why the fusion fire set exists, because that's for like if you're fast, like not for faster caster. It's just like if you're gonna play fireball mage more than you're actually gonna play the rotation part. But the set I'm mostly talking about is the rotation fusion set, because the fusion you know what I mean, the rotation fusion. I had it right. Because that's the set that's the highest like self-proccing for rotation. That's why it was so talked about so much, and that's why like yeah, that's why the top 3 leaderboard mages are using it, because really good. I mean, except for Blizzard. Blizzard has a really old parse, and he hasn't parsed in like a long time. But like all of the like Katsui and Foxy and Rich have all had 120k with it for 2.5 minutes, so you know it's actually good. And I've tried to make it as min-maxed as possible. So the Frost 2 second is actually better than a Frost Fire 2 second, because just how you proc your Affliction in the rotation is counting as hits a second. It's going to be better. That's about it. I hope I covered everything. You can ask in the comments if you're still confused. But yeah.